Oh, you think the cheesecake has got them all messed up? Camila done started working at the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh,
She done bring cheesecake home.
Everybody in the Korean intolerant house bringing lactose.
And then had the nerve to come and get in my bed with me yesterday and say, "Oh, man," I said, "I bet you don't." You done ate cheesecake every day this week, literally. And have tried to get everybody else to eat it too. It's like, I know you don't feel good.
Be a misery with me.
I'm like, girl, I ain't gonna even attempt.
She bring home some of that Korean cauliflower though.
I said, when you gonna bring home some of them wings, them Korean wings? That's what I want. She was like, I can't, because she's in the bakery.
Okay.
She's like, I can't get to those. But if there is any sort of defect on any slice, they can't sell it. But the defect may be that somebody forgot to put the chocolate shavings on it. Somebody may have forgotten the dollop of whatever. If it doesn't have that, they can't sell it. So they get to eat it. Oops, no sprinkles. Taking it off. I said I couldn't do it. Okay, we're gonna start with libation, family.
On the floor, on the carpet.
And we will move forward after that. Omi tutu, omi tutu, omi tutu. Tutu ori, tutu emi, tutu aye, tutu aroye. Ìbà ṣẹ́ Olódùmarè, ìbà tirẹ̀ kàyé, ìbà tíwọ̀ ọjọ́, ìbà tíwọ̀ ọ̀run, ìbà lẹ́gẹ̀rẹ̀ àfọkọ̀yẹ̀rẹ̀, ìbà rúmùlà ìlérí ìpín, ìbà rúmùlẹ̀ ọjọ́ kò tún, ìbà rúmùlẹ̀ ọjọ́ kò sí, ìbà kálẹ̀ ní ìrìnwọ̀ ọ̀rùnmọ̀lẹ̀, ìbà àkọ́dà, ìbà àṣẹ. Ìbà wàníyà àfínjù ẹ̀jẹ̀, màjúbà bọ́gbọ̀ ìgòrè dẹ̀lẹ̀ mi ẹ̀bẹ̀lẹ̀ ṣẹ́ Olódùmarè, ìbà yẹ ọ̀run, ìbà yẹ báyìí tọ̀run, ìbà wà bàbá tọ̀run. Ìbà Olúwa, bàbá ọdúnwọ́ ló fọ́tọ̀ mi ṣe, ìbà ojúbọ̀nà bọ́kùnà ọmọ náà ọjọ́ fi sínú, ìbà pọ̀jìtò náà jíjọ wí sínú, ìbà ìyẹ́lọ́ṣẹ̀ ṣàngó ènìyàn. Ìbà fàtáyì fàgbémọ̀, ìbà fàlérí fàgbémọ̀, ìbà bọ́gbọ̀ ìdẹ̀lẹ̀ fàgbémọ̀, ìbà bọ́gbọ̀ ìdẹ̀lẹ̀ àmùṣàn, ìbà àgbọ̀mọ̀là bí òrìṣà, ìbà Abẹ́òkúta Nigeria, ìbà Olókòméjì Village Nigeria, ìbà Olùtúnjú Village South Carolina, ìbà ọba Sẹ́jìmọ̀ Adéfúnmi the first, ìbà ọba Adéjùgbé Adéfúnmi the second, ìbà Ilé Ifẹ̀, òrìṣà kò sí ikú, kò sí fòtíbọ̀, kò sí wàhálà, kò sí ọ̀fọ̀. Fún wa àlàáfíà, fún wa ìrẹ́, fún wa bọ́gbọ́ ọwọ́, fún wa ìwà pẹ̀lú àṣẹ. Give that shoe his little sprinkles. No, leave the door open so she can go back in.
No, because she's scratching on Kamara's gymming case.
Is she? Is it a problem? Is it bothering it? Is it tearing it? Is it tearing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But we have to put some peppermint oil on it to keep her off of it. I don't think so. We won't put that much. All right. So we are in the second verse of Merindilogun. So we started out with Ejiogbe. And we actually should have started with Okanra, so I apologize for that. But we started out with Ejiogbe, and now we are in Ejioko. So Ejioko are the second verses of Dilogun. So Dilogun, as I said before, is the oracle, is the original Anago oracle. Okay. All other oracles, divination systems used by the Anago people come from Dilogun. Dilogun is considered to have been created by Oshun. It uses tools that are associated with women of power. So it uses cowrie shells, which are associated with women because they look like women's genitals and because they were the original money. And money was originally held by women, went from mother to daughter, okay? And it uses basketry. So when you divine with Ifa, when you divine with that particular oracle, you use a tray. opan ifa, whereas the Dilogun uses a basket type tray. So it's still a tray, but it is a woven tray. Okay, and that is considered a woman's type of divining tool. So the tools that you use to divine with Dilogun are women's tools. It is considered to be the system created by Oshun during that same point where she was making sure that human beings could still access the divine. So remember the story where Oshun gave birth to Eshu, and she said if it wasn't a boy, people wouldn't have access to the true power, to Ashe. So during this same time, in order for us to continue to communicate with the divine, then this is when this particular divination system was created for human beings. So everything else comes out of that. Everything else is an offshoot of that. So the Ifa system is a actually a conglomeration of this system and the system that the Yoruba people learned when they were fleeing from slavery at one point. They fled to a neighboring group of people and they learned that system and then they combined it with this one. That's what that oracle is. The OB system, where we use 4 calories, that's just considered like the shortened version of this. Okay. So Dilogun was the first. All right, and just like everything else in Yoruba society, everything in the Odu is based off of seniority. Okay, the Yoruba do not have gender-specific pronouns. You don't have gender-specific titles. Everything in life, what determines where you stand in life from the Anagbo perspective is who was born first. Okay, so everything in the Odu is based on seniority. Everything that's important in traditional Nago society is based on seniority. There is no word for brother or sister. There's only a word for older sibling or younger sibling. Okay, it's all based on age and who decided to be born first. Okay, so when we look at the Odu, you are looking at the original physical things to come onto the physical plane. The Odu were beings on the physical plane as well. So nothing that we pay homage to within the spiritual system has not lived on the physical plane. Everything is something that has been here before. Because if it hasn't been here, then it can't really help us and give us information on how to be here. If it is completely disconnected from this experience, then there's no way that it can assist us with this experience. So everything that we deal with has been here, has lived here, has been on this plane of existence. The Odu were the first things. And then followed by the Irumole that we talked about before, big, giant makings of everything. Okay. All right. So last week, Kamar, you remember the Odu we did last week? What it was talking about? Remember the character? Think before you speak. And who was the character? Mm-hmm. Do you remember the proverb? Mouth.
Mouth of the talker kills the talker.
Mm-hmm.
Mouth of the gossiper kills the gossiper.
Right. So that was about thinking before you speak. Okay. This particular story or Itan, each of the verses or the stories in the verse are called the Itan, is talking about being careful about the company that you keep. Okay. So this is the story of Shekere and Symbol. Okay, so shakere is of course the beautiful gourd with the beads on it that you shake to make music, right? And the symbol is, from a traditional perspective, the symbol is probably some sort of piece of metal that you hit with a stick. That's what I'm assuming, because it certainly wouldn't be those European type symbols that you bang together. So it's probably a piece of metal, probably something similar to the agogo bell, like a bell that you hit with a stick, but a flat piece of metal is what I'm assuming. So Shekere and Symbol were good friends. And in traditional society, you get a divination every 3 months because it is understood that the circumstances of your life change every 90 days. And holistically, you know, that's what holistic practitioners tells us when you get a whole new body. They say, oh, in 90 days, you got all new skin, all your cells have been renewed. So when we look at how our ancestors did divination, they thought the same thing, where everything is different in 90 days. So you got to come back and get a divination. Now, because you had to get a divination every 3 months, sometimes people would elect to go with their friends to get a divination. Because, of course, divinations are not free. So if we knew we had to go every 3 months, then me and Miss Jackie might be like, okay, girl, within the next 3 months, we just going to put in and we going to both, you know, get our divination together. And people would do that, especially close friends and then co-wives or something like that. If you know you already have a close connection, then you would get your divination together. So in this particular story, Shaker Ray and Symbol were good friends. And Shaker Ray and Symbol decided to go and get their divination together. Symbol had a beautiful beaded gown that she always wore. She always had on her lovely beaded gown. And she went with Shaker Ray to get her divination. When they got their divination, the diviner said, y'all need to make an ebo. Y'all need to go and make a sacrifice. Y'all need to go and make an offering. And let me see, I want to find exactly what the sacrifice was. Let me see if this is right here. Oh, yeah. So the sacrifice that they were told to make was 2,000 calories. At that time, cowrie shells were money. So they were told, they sat down, they got their divination, and it was said, okay, in order to keep your destiny in order, you need to offer 2,000 calories to the deity. So you need to get this together and offer it. And so Symbol got it together by himself or herself. It doesn't say if it was male or female, and offered it. They were saying to Shaker Ray, we got to get this sacrifice together. You know, we got to get this elbow together. You know, them diviners told us, you know how you go to like a spiritual retreat or you go to a function and you get a good message. So you go to church, you come to Egg Bay, you get a good message, and you sitting there with your friend and y'all both like, oh, because y'all know, oh, that's for me. That is for me. You get in the car, you get on the phone, girl, that message. Woo, yeah, I know this. Okay, we're going to do better. We're going to do so and so. Me and you was just sitting there a few minutes ago saying, girl, we need to detox before the winter solstice. Blah, blah. We done sat here, we done talked about it, right?
It's happening. He was convicted and I
see, we done sat here, we done talked about it, right? So next week we going to be texting, girl, we still going to do that detox? Girl, we still going to do the detox? And somebody's just going to be like, like they didn't hear the message, right? When y'all first heard it, what? Everybody was excited. Okay, everybody was hyped. We about to get on it. And it's going to be that one person's going to be like, I ain't going to do it, right? So this is what happened. Symbol and Shaker Ray went and got their divination. The diviner said, you need to offer your 2,000 calories. Symbol said, okay. Obviously, at that point in time, they were having a financial difficulty because they had to get their divination together. But Symbol said, okay, I'm going to go on and start pulling my pennies together to get this 2,000 calories. Shaker Ray, what you going to do? You know, I'm sorry, it was actually Shaker Ray that was pulling the money together, not Symbol. What you going to do, Symbol? Symbol wasn't saying nothing. Shaker Ray steady more pulling the money together. I got to get these 2,000 calories, is what the Orisha told me to do. I'm going to make this sacrifice because I got to get my life back on track. I can't have my life in such a way that I can't even get my own divination. Look, I get my life on track. Let me gather these two. Okay. So, Shaker Ray gathered all the money, got back to the diviner, said, okay, here's the offering you asked me to make. Then they went out. They went out together. Shaker Ray and Symbol. And as they were walking through town, some elders saw them. Had on that beautiful beaded gown. And the elder said, doesn't that belong to Shaker Ray? And Symbol said, no, this is my gown. I always wear this gown. You hadn't seen me in this before? In my fly coral attire? You know, when you look at, when you research ancient Yoruba society, they wear gowns of full coral, like it is a full coral gown. When you look at the first artistic representations of Yoruba people, it is a carving of who they call like the Benin mother, because the Benin people were the first in that area. So it's a carving of her, and she has coral hanging all down on her face. Her hair is up in a beautiful bun, and it's coral all over it, and her entire shirt is coral beads, just beautiful. And they wear it all, it comes all the way down. When you look at the king of Benin, it comes all the way down. And when you see people who have that Benin ancestry, still today, if you go to the Nigerian wedding website on Instagram, if you go to Nigerian wedding Instagram, those Benin girls still have their full coral cape on that they wear. And they still put their hair in a bun and wrap that coral. Yeah. So this is what Simba was walking around in the 5 coral, and that means that you're that you have a royal lineage, that you have a royal ancestry. So Simba was walking around, and the elders are like, "Don't that belong to Shekau?" And Simba's like, "What kind of games y'all playing? This is what? Oh no, this don't belong." But the elders were convinced that the beaded gown belonged to Shekau, so they took the beaded gown off of Simba and put it on Shekau. And what can Simba do, right? You can't fight the elders. You can't go against the elders. You can't tell the elders they were wrong. So until this day, when we see Shekau, what? she got a beaded gown on, right? She got a beaded gown on. So this what this Odu is saying is that, first of all, be careful of the company that you keep. Be careful, because Shekau did not speak out and say, "This is not my gown." Right? Shekau went on and took the gown. So the Odu is saying, be careful of the company that you keep, that you are not deceived. Right? That the company does not deceive you and take what is rightfully yours and what's precious to you. But it's also saying what? What's the other? She deserved it. Right? You got to make your elbow. You got to make your elbow, right?
If you got something out there that the U.S. telling you to do, hey, you better take care of it, because you'll get your reward one way or another.
That's it.
You don't want it to be to your demise.
Right. That is it. You are, when you have like a spiritual connection, it is your responsibility to do what you know you're supposed to do. If you hear something, if you're being told to do something, it's your responsibility to do what you're supposed to do. When you don't do what you're supposed to do, you actually weaken yourself. So that's what happens. In a lot of time, in this particular Odu, what we see a lot of times is that there will be one character who feels, "I have everything that I need." I hear what you're saying, Diviners. I hear what you're saying, Arisha. I hear what you're saying, Universe, but I'm good. I'm good over here with all this that I got. And to me, this is another story of that. I'm good. I see what y'all saying, but I got my beautiful coral beaded gown. I'm fine. I'm not going to make no sacrifice. I'm going to go on over here and keep doing what I was doing, which was working for me. I got my beaded gown, right? But when you get that message, you have to heed it. It's your responsibility to heed it. I always say how a big part of the Odu is don't play small. It's your responsibility to always be pushing yourself to the next level. That's your responsibility. When you decided to be born this time, you did not choose a destiny that was small. So you are always being pushed to the next level, always. And it's never going to be easy, right? And because you're not lazy and sluck about and a foot dragger, you will be comfortable most of the time, because you set your life up that you're going to be comfortable most of the time. So a lot of times, for me, this is what I find for myself. If life is setting a fire under me, then yeah, I'm out here hustling. You know, I'm out here doing my thing. Like, oh, I ain't even got no so-and-so. Let me get out here so I can get this so-and-so. You know, oh, the kids ain't got so-and-so. Let me get out here. So when life puts a fire under you, to me, then it's easy to hustle.
Right.
But to me, I find it is my personal self that it's harder to be convicted to do what you know you have to do when you're comfortable.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You laying all in your lush, lavish bed. It's all good.
It ain't going
I'm
nowhere.
gonna get to it. Refrigerator full, right? It's just burning. You sipping on your tea. You got your Badu playing in the background. What? It's all good. Life is good. You texting babe, right? Hey, babe. You know, it's all good. So what happens? You still get the same messages from the universe. The universe doesn't stop talking to you because it's all good. It doesn't. You will always be rewarded for handling your business. That's how the universe is set up. It is an interactive system. So when you're putting in, you're going to get out. So you will find yourself comfortable. You will find yourself whatever, down slope you go on. That's how life is. It's up and down. So there'll be a down slope when you're not comfortable. That up slope is coming where you back comfortable again. And generally, depending upon the quality of work that you do when you're down, that up slope might even be higher. So you had a certain level of comfort. You got your little down slope. You hustled a little harder. And woo, now you on the high up slope. You feeling all good. Y'all don't torture the cat. You feeling all good. You got this, that, and the third going on. You got your title, you got your degree, whatever it is that we working on. Who I done did this, who I done did that, right? And what do? We lay back, we fall back. Now, this is not to say don't rest. This is not to say don't sit there and be thankful and say, thank you. I remember the days when I prayed for what I have now. It's not saying not to do that. But when you get that little message from the universe, whether you just get it or whether you say, oh, time for me to go get my divination. When you come and get your divination and Oshun says you need to be doing so and so and so and so. Oh, it's all the way over here. I got to plug this thing up, y'all. Whether it comes through the form of your own Ori just telling you, or whether it actually comes in the form of a divination, or you may be at a workshop, at a sisterhood gathering, at the new moon ritual, whatever it is that you normally do to keep your spiritual self grounded, it may be at a time like that. Do you receive a message? And you know it's for you, right? You know it's for you. This is for me. I need to be doing this on self. But it's harder to do it when you're the one with the beaded gown, right? It's more difficult when you in your full regalia. Oh, I got my beaded gown. I'm good.
And it's heavy.
Yes, it is heavy.
You got to consider taking all this off.
Right?
I'm just chill.
It's got to be hung in the right spot. Right? You got to say the proper prayers over it because that's the ancestral piece handed down. So you can't just take it off. You got to take it off and give thanks to whoever and do the whatever and smoke it down with the so and so. Yeah, it's heavy. It's not just taking it off. There are steps included. Ladies, there are steps included. Go ahead, Miss Jackie.
It made me think though, when you said it, well, it's not to say not to rest, but we hear so often nowadays, a lot of people like, when you sleep, I'm at working. And that's why when this happens, I'm here and you're there. And that side of me is just like, okay, I thought of loving basketball. Monica got on the team. She was bomb. She's playing basketball. And she wasn't starting. That point guard was bomb. But she hurt herself and then all of a sudden, boom, she out there and old girl was still salty about the fact that a freshman took her spot.
Right.
But it's like the person that has it, it's like you really can't sleep on it. You really can't because
you cannot.
Somebody doing that work behind you. There's always somebody like slip up,
waiting on you,
waiting,
and that is definitely the way that Anango and current Yoruba society see the world. You ain't never ever in your life seen no Nigerian sleeping on nothing. They ain't finna let it pass them up, right? Because true, while rest has to be gotten, for your body to live. you cannot sleep on your goals. You cannot sleep on your dreams. You cannot sleep on your destiny. You can't. You got to get up. You got to hustle. You got to work towards it. Grind, whatever term that you want to use. You've got to be working towards it every day. That does not mean. I think that especially for those of us of African descent in the West, I think that what makes it so hard for us to continue to be convicted in what we have to do when we are at ease is that we don't realize that the grind can be nice.
Okay.
The grind you can still be in comfort and grind. You can still grind in the beat again. You know, I don't think we realize that. I think that we have a sense of, most of us come from a working class background. And even when we are, as Black people, middle class, it's still a working middle class. You know, it's not that kind of old money middle class that you may find within other ethnic groups. So we come from a working class background. So we're used to seeing that. Oh, you got to hit it, you got to hit it, you got to hit it. And when we get to a point where we may not have to hit it as hard, I think we have a tendency to not understand, but sometimes you can hit it softly. But you still keep hitting it. You can hit it in luxury. You know, you can hit it in your fur. You can hit it fly. You can hit it with your gorgeous home and your nice car, but you still hitting it. And I think that a lot of times that's the difference between us and people who get that next level come up. Because we get this one come up and we stop and chill. And we be looking at people, well, how they getting that next level come up? How they getting that generational wealth? We getting this one generation worth of wealth. Now, some of that comes from the fact that so much of it was just stolen from us. And so many people are living off of wealth that actually is ours. So I'm not discounting that ever. But by the same token, with your every action, you are supposed to be thinking about the next 7 generations. So if you're taking that into consideration, then you know, okay, you keep hitting it. Because even when you become an ancestor, the reason we put up our altars is what? Because we have an expectation that they still hitting it for us. That they're still hitting it on our behalf. It's not our spiritual system is not based upon going somewhere and ceasing to make sure that your family is taken care of. You don't ever do that. Wherever you are, whatever form you're in, you're still making sure that your family is taken care of, which means you're still hitting it to a certain degree. So for me, part of what I see when I get this particular Odu, when I see this particular Odu, is just because everything is going good, don't let that stop your grind. You can transform your grind into something more beautiful, into something more calm, something more peaceful. But you don't let it stop. You keep going. What's that thing they be saying? I'm gonna rest when I die.
Right.
And then our tradition, you ain't gonna even rest then. But
Right.
you be like, I'm gonna rest when I die. I'm gonna keep this grind going. Because you will lose what you have. And this Odu has more than one story of that. Something that actually literally belongs to you. Something that actually literally is your inheritance. If you do not step up to the plate and be your full self, it belongs to somebody else. The Odu says, if you have money but do not have character, that money is somebody else's. It says, if you have a wife and do not have character, that's somebody else's wife. You have a house and you don't have character, that's somebody else's house. Because of what we're saying. You sitting around, you gonna sluck about, you gonna laze about, you not gonna handle your business. The person who's handling business is gonna come and swoop that right out from under you.
All right, that's why I'm catching they have a first runner up. You win, okay, but down the slip.
See,
That next one on in.
she gonna be right on up there, right? That's how life actually is. That's how life works. And we grown people in the room, we know that's true, right? You sitting in a relationship that's looking lovely. Don't nobody know what's going on in the house but the two grown people that live in the house, right? It's always somebody waiting on the back burner. Like, let that brother slip. I'm coming right on up, you know? Pulling up in my Benz, like, baby, did he slip? I'm here. Get in the Benz. Let me take you to the mansion. This is, you know? Testify, girl.
No, see, the shells that didn't technically drop for this old dude for us per se. But every time you hear, or learn about different old dude, you can't help but think about it. And I would see where it applies to your life. And it's like, man, I was just talking to my man about a situation to where I know if somewhere not to work out. I was like, I know she got your doing stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man,
hold on, right?
I don't feel a threat, but I just know.
Right.
And if anything would ever happen,
right.
I'm quite sure that would be the result. But I mean, it just makes you think about it in more depth about where you are and what you need to do, and have balance in that. Because you can go gung ho, and when you don't have balance, it's not going to work.
No.
Either way, but
but you have to remain focused. You have to remain focused. The Odu says part of the foundation of the tradition is my destiny is the most important thing to me. Each person is supposed to be focused on fulfilling their own destiny. That's your focus. That's your focus. And life is set up, we set up life in such a way that you get thrown off, right? It's easy to get thrown off, right? You get in a relationship, you throw it off. You get focused on that person's destiny. Well, if I could just help him do that, if I could just help her do this, then okay, I can see how I can see how he will then be able to do this. You don't put your destiny on the back burner, right? You don't put your destiny on the back burner. You have children. You take a particular type of job. Right. When you are working a job, you are building blocks for someone else's pyramid. That's how I always see it. And it doesn't mean that you don't do it, because job is the capital for you to do your thing. Right. So, we get out there, we work a job because we don't have that generational wealth that we should have, that should have been ours. Entrepreneurship is completely and totally West African. Yes. It is completely what is expected, especially amongst women. Women are expected to be entrepreneurs. Men in West African society up until today go out and work. And the way that you marry a woman is by giving her enough money to start her business. And however many women you marry, you give them enough money to start their business, because women run the marketplace. We are the entrepreneurs of the society. So I would never say don't be out here always keeping your entrepreneurial goals in mind. But what I would say is, because our generational wealth was taken from us, we got to work a job to make that capital. But don't get off focus. You know how you be at work, you're like, oh, okay, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and, vie for this so-and-so position. I'm going to go ahead. Not saying don't do that, but keep your eyes on the prize. Yeah. Don't forget what the actual goal and the reason for even taking this job was. Okay, the reason I took this, and even if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you say, okay, I want to work this job all the way up to retirement, your retirement still got to be your prize that you keeping your eyes on. Right. So you still got to be saying, okay, I'm going to rock my 401k different from how these other people, right? You still got to have a plan that's just for you. Right. Okay? So these are the ways, to me, that we find ourselves being like Symbol, unbeknownst. We don't mean to be out here not paying attention to what the Odu has told us to do, what our Ori has told us to do, what our destiny says we should be doing. But it's easy to get our focus, right? It's very easy to get our focus, and we live in a society that's created to get you off focus. I never completely got my business off the ground until I lived in Barbados, until I lived in Atlanta. Because when I lived in Barbados, all of my family in Barbados was entrepreneurs. Everybody. And some of them had really, really, really good jobs that pay a whole lot of money, but they still got a business. They still got a business. And so they never let me forget. Well, are you going to do this? Well, are you going to make some flyers? Well, are you going to do this? Because everybody's mindset was like that. In Atlanta, it was the same. Oh, you want to come and set up a table at the so-and-so, sis? Oh, you want to come and do readings at the so-and-so? Come and speak at my so-and-so. Come and do this. So my mind couldn't ever fall back into, well, let me just go and get this job. Even though I had to get jobs to make stuff happen. My mind could never be on just that because I was around people that kept me focused and kept me accountable. This is what you said you was going to do. This is how you do it. So you got, for the most part in life, you got to hold yourself accountable. For fulfilling that destiny that you chose before being born this time. For me, one of the most beautiful things about the tradition is that it does not place your power anywhere else. It completely and totally, always and in every way reminds you that your power is in you. Right? This is the destiny you chose. You know, when I'm talking to my children, I will tell my son, well, you chose to be born before her, so you will have to set an example for her. If you didn't want to be setting the example, then you should have chosen to be born at a different time. But this was the choice that you made. So you came here first. So then you have more responsibility, and you have X, Y, and Z. It's all on you. You chose it. Okay, this is the destiny, you know. And when you look at it like that, or for me, when I was first told that, my mother used to tell us that. And she was a Jehovah's Witness and then AME. But just from her ori, she used to say, well, that you the one that chose to be born that way. That's, I don't know. What were you planning to do with that? You know, she would she would say that. Well, if you didn't want to do so and so, then you should have chose a different mama. She would say that. Because you know, in my house, we gonna do X, Y, and Z. My mother was good for saying that. So I was raised with that as an understanding. So, hey, Mama Sita. So when I speak to them, I say the same thing. But for me, that's beautiful. It's wonderful not to ever have to be worried that there's a being outside of me that's moving me like a puppet. You know, there's not any being that's got some strings that's just making me dance and do stuff. Whatever it is, from the point of conception, it was all on me. Like, no, you chose that. Okay, what did you intend to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And I have never, from being a mom and then from being a teacher, I've never met anyone who doesn't know what they intended to do with it. You just have to get over any sort of fear of doing it. But we all know what we came here to do. Okay, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing that song. You know, let me get on up and do the so and so. So you chose the destiny, and you chose all the obstacles and the blockages in the destiny, and all the blessings and all the good stuff in the destiny to make you who you are to fulfill that destiny. Because you don't get made none of it without no obstacles and blockages. All right. Any questions or comments on Ejioko or this verse of Ejioko?
How many verses are in Ejioko?
Nobody knows. There are an infinite number of stories in every Oju. Infinite. So the stories that I know can only be from this source that I have and from what my initiators have taught me. So those are the stories that I know. I can only know what my initiators knew and from what I know from this particular book or any other, other books that I've read on the Oju. That's it. That's what I know. But if you go, when you go to Cuba, when you go to Puerto Rico, you go to Brazil, they gonna know they may know these verses as well, but they'll know some other verses. So we don't know. You can't place a number on them because it is the experiences of our ancestors. So it's the experiences coming together in a body of knowledge.
So,
Yes, Mama.
are there infinity numbers?
Yes, it's an infinite. It's like a number that doesn't end. Yes, an infinite number of order. Mm-hmm.
So when you go to, what's his name? Baba Coyote. He's back and forth, but he's known for like knowing just a bajillion stories.
Mhm.
And he lives in a number of places, but you know, in Atlanta, Knoxville, and Showboat. He's actually there. So it's being there and okay, so is that why people are selective or try to, when I say try to, maybe some people try to, but choose who initiates them? Is it because of the wealth of knowledge that priest or priestess has?
That's what you're supposed to choose from.
Oh,
Yes, you're supposed to choose from what can this person teach you, because that's what's going to teach you. That's where it's coming from. So whoever initiated you is going to give you the information that you need, not only to properly worship your Orisha, whatever Orisha decides that they want you as an initiate, but if you are to divine, whoever initiates you is going to give you the information that you need to divine. So yes, that is why you are supposed to choose your initiators that way. This person has the information that I want to use, then I know that this person, that's you know, that's how I want to work it. So I'm gonna be initiated by this person. Sorry, I don't know. My computer is set up so that all of um my things come up, like all of my notifications just pop up even when I'm doing a live video. That is very weird to me. I thought I had set it up so that it wouldn't. So
right.
it always freaks me out. I'd be like, whoa. So that's what you choose based on is what information do they have? How can they lead me down the path of revering my Orisha that I want to go down? Okay? You choose based on that. Can this person lead me down the path? So you look at what you're supposed to look at is the person's life. How do they worship the Orisha? How do they, what is their lifestyle? What do they know about the Orisha? What do they do? How do they do X, Y, and Z? You look at that. Because in traditional society, that year of initiation, you lived with the person. Traditionally, you lived with them. And even in Latin American society, they are still able to do it that way in modern times to a certain extent. And it is still very much what is expected of us when we initiated in Nigeria. Most of us can't do it.
Right.
But you're supposed to live with your Oluwa. You live with that person. And so you interact with them and, figure the Orisha out from there. Because it's kind of like we were saying before. Most human beings, it's not natural for human beings to learn from a book, right? That's an unnatural. That's a technology, just like this computer is a technology. It is not connected to us. It's not organic to us. So there are some of us who can do it. Some of us can't do it because it doesn't have anything to do with being human, right? So the way that we actually learn is by doing and being and experiencing. So yeah, you choose your diviner based on that. You choose your initiator based on that.
And which Orisha chooses that they want you as initiate, do you try to see, you know what I'm saying, which a priest or priestess of that Orisha as well? Does that matter?
No, because you divine on that.
Oh.
It may not be an Orisha that you even have or that you've been told that you have. Is that door open? Make sure she can go in there if she wants to. Is that door open? Hey, open it so she can go in there if she wants to. So you may have been told, for example, that you're a child of Oya and Shango Kabiesi. And then you get a divination and you find through divination that it is your destiny to be initiated into the priesthood, right? And so when you decide and you save up your money and you get your mind right, your Ori right and everything, you say, okay, I'm ready to initiate. Then you do a divination to see which Orisha, you're going to initiate into. Up until I became initiated, up until it was time for me to initiate, I was a child of Obatala. I knew that Oshun was my mother, but I read as a child of Obatala. So everything I did was Obatala, and when I realized that I needed to get initiated, I assumed that I was going to be initiated into Obatala. Yeah. But when the divination was done, it was like, no, you're gonna be initiated to Oshun. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that because it had been years of learning Obatala, living as Obatala. Everything in my house was white. All my furniture was white. Everything, it was all white. You know, it was all about Baba. And then it was like, no, you initiated. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't expect that. Go ahead, Mama.
So typically, is it then like either one of your parents in Orisha, or it can be any of them?
It can be any Orisha. It is not
So
always.
like Cyan,
It can be anybody. Yeah, you divine and you ask because the way that we say it here in the West is, you have Orisha that take you to the door, and those Orisha take you to the door, and then your destiny from then on is with that other deity. It may not be an Orisha, it may be an Inkisi, it may be a Vodun, your diviner is supposed to ask all of those things. Because it may be the Orisha that brought you to this point, but now that it's time for you to initiate, your Vodun wants you. Oh no, it's not Shango Kabiesi, it's Hevioso. You got to get Hevioso. That may be what actually happened. So you're supposed to ask. And all of this is for us in the West.
Right.
Because from a traditional perspective, you have an Orisha that your family has always worshipped. And that's it. That's who you worship. That's it.
Right.
If I worship Oshun, then all of my children are Oshun worshipers. That is it. So when it comes time for one of my children to be initiated, they would obviously be initiated into Oshun. You do not do divination as we rule somebody's head. You don't do any of that in traditional society. That is all as a consequence of us being over here.
Right.
But in traditional society, if your mother, like in my family, everybody was children of Oshun. Those were all children of Oshun. So in traditional society, there would have been no reason to ask. Obviously, me and all these people that I made are, worshipers of Oshun. Nobody asked, and you didn't even worry about it. You didn't even think about it. And in some places in Nigeria, if you go, they're not going to understand what you mean.
Right.
If you say, "Oh, well, I'm a child of this," 10 million the lake carries yeah, we look ridiculous to them because you just wear one. Whoever your mother worshipped, and you wear that deity, and that's it. That's who you deal with. That's who you pray to. That's it. The rest of those Orisha are for other people. Because remember, it's a system based on ecology. So obviously, if you in Oshogbo, right there by the river, then yeah, you everybody in Oshogbo is Oshun worshiper. Who else would they be? That's who gives them everything that they need. So if you right there, then yeah. If you over here in Abeokuta, then you gonna worship Obatala. You right there by Olumo Rock. What else would you do?
Right.
You ain't gonna worship nobody but Obatala or Yemanja, because the Yemanja River is there. The Ogun River is there. That's it. That's what you're gonna do. What else would you do? That's your source. So you wear your one little beads for that particular dance, and that's it. Or you get up to Nigeria with all these 10,000 beads we be wearing it. Why do you have so many beads?
Right.
You're wearing a lot of beads, But it was a beautiful, wearing it. Are you a chief?
Right. I'm just confused.
You seem to be very confused. But it was a beautiful innovation of our ancestors. Because if the three of us all lived in Oshogbo, and when we got snatched up, us and all these babies got snatched up from Oshogbo, right? And the only mysteries that we know are the mysteries of Oshun. That's it. All the songs we know are Oshun songs. All the Omiero we know how to make is only Oshun Omiero. Right. All the herbal concoctions that we know how to make is only Oshun. This is it. This is all that we know. This is what they do where we are from, right? So then we're no longer in Oshogbo. So what's going to happen? This person is going to grow up, and all she's going to know is the mysteries of Oshun. So all the rest of those Orisha lost. So our ancestors said that they chose those seven, and now you have that saying, the seven African powers. Well, we know now is infinity, right? Infinite African powers. But they chose these main seven, basically based upon which villages we were taken from, right? Most of us came from places where those are worship, and they said, okay, we gonna all know a little bit about Shango Kariesi. We gonna all know a little bit about Yemanja. We gonna all know a little bit about Oshun, because you're gonna lose the whole thing.
Right.
You know, in Trinidad, the tradition as it was practiced once we got over here was called Shango Baptiste. Most people there were worshippers of Shango, obviously, right? So this is what they knew, this is what they remember, right? So the whole thing is just named after Shango. And that's the tradition. Like when you meet people who are initiated into it, then yeah, you see, oh, they're practicing the tradition. But that's what it's known as there, So in order to keep things like that from happening, our ancestors were like, we're going to all get this many alakas. We're going to all have all of these. We all know at least this many songs for these deities, this many prayers, this kind of libation. And so that's how we preserved it. And it was funny trying to explain that to people when I was in Nigeria. I'm like, well, this is why we had to do it this way.
Right.
Because you don't even put, Yamanjaba Oshun. They don't even, from their perspective, it's like there's no reason to do it. It's overkill. You're doing a lot, You got a great mother right here. Why you got to have the other great mother? You have 2 or 3 or 4 other great mothers. At the same, you got the mother of all. And Oshun's name means the source. That's the mother of all. That's it. That's everything. But then you'll go and put Yamanjaba too. It looks like overkill from their perspective. So
kind of like when they come over here and they be trying to dress cool.
Girl.
They overdo the urban gear.
Just too much.
Like y'all need to change.
You don't have to have the 4-5 chain. That's not. You don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you got to tone it down a little bit. So yeah,
Right.
it's the same way that we look
Right,
to
we
it.
know you legit. You ain't got
The cultural differences. Well, that's the next question is like, because of the way things have evolved, it makes me think about how you always say that magic is not static, and about how it has to change and it has to evolve and be relevant for the people now.
Yes.
Because infinite wisdom, from the beginning knew that there was going to be a great Amaka split.
Yes,
and
exactly.
The whole thing. We already planned this out.
Right.
So we knew that this was going to happen so that you don't lose yourself in an effort so you don't lose yourself.
That's it.
This has to be established in this way. So I like, it makes me appreciate both sides of the spectrum.
Yes.
Because I wouldn't be able to even know what's happening over there if it weren't for some type of fusion of some sort.
That's it.
Because there's 2 sides. There's always the polar opposites who are all this or all that,
right?
And they try to look at each other like something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's like no, you have to adapt.
You have to
the circumstances of what's happening. I don't know. We always say, like the idea of Sankofa, you have to go back, to retrieve that. What's yours, so you know where you're going. But it's like, okay, I retrieved it, I know it, but then I'm gonna work it right here.
Yeah, you got to work it where you are.
Where I'm at.
You got to work it where you are. I mean, and to me, I love that piece of it. I love how it changed. There were so many years that made me so sad. I really did believe. You guys go get your your mandala coloring books. Or some of the coloring books that you guys can share.
Okay.
Yeah, or do you have, and what about that paper? I had that paper. What happened with that? The paper that came out of my printer? Let them use some of that. The paper that's blank. Isn't it in your room? I thought I set it on your dresser. It has the writing on the other side. I did. I put it on your dresser this morning. So let them use that paper and the other coloring books to have some more interesting things to color. But I was sad about that for many years, just as an academic type of person. I just wanted that pure, I want the uncut nago with nothing else in it, straight, no chaser. Just give it to me just the raw nago, ain't been touched with nothing, And I would get so irritated and so frustrated and so angry when I couldn't just get that raw nago, just that straight Nigerian, Oshun priestess, just, bam, straight out of Oshobo, in her hand woven a dire, I want the full, and I only wanted that. And so, I worked toward it, and working with the Metahochi Baraturum and having been trained in the 16 great African lines, there's this. Metahochi didn't even practice Orisha, he was Vodun, So it was like that helped me to loosen up with it a little bit. But it wasn't until being in Nigeria and practicing the tradition there and seeing things there that you knew had to be an innovation, that I was like, oh, everybody got to innovate.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to think that ain't none of it gonna be an innovation, and that kind of helped me to relax, and then also it was being in Nigeria that taught me to have respect for my own lineage, because I was, as I always say, that happened in my Idele reading. I just wanted to just straight West Africa. I just wanted to know about West Africa. I'm good on whatever else is happening over here. Just tell me about the West African part and how my ancestors wouldn't even let Metahochi. He was throwing Opwele and he was getting just nothing. It was all maybe. And he was like, because we're being disrespectful. You have ancestors from here that we're not honoring at all. And that was the beginning. But it didn't come to a head until I was in Nigeria. And everybody kept calling me a white woman. That was what did it. The whole time I was in Nigeria. And every time I would walk out, they would say, oh, Yimbo. Because, of course, they didn't know I spoke the language. So I have to say, Kosi Oyimbo. There's no Oyimbo. Dudu. I am black. And they would laugh. And so I sat down one time to talk to her. And she said, this one I met to Jabari. And she said, well, we can look at your husband and we can see that he is African. She said, but when we look at you, we see that you are African and something else. She said, so you are what we call half caste. Now, where I'm from, that is a slur. Right? In Columbia, Tennessee, there's a tradition in the South of white men who own a lot of land and money, still up until modern times, being able to come into the Black community and take the Black women that they wanted. So in Columbia, where I am from, because so many children and whole families of children are born out of that type of rape, then it is, these are people my age and maybe just a little bit older. So it was very, very modern that this was still happening. And so it is very rude where I'm from. You never ask anyone if they're mixed. Like if you don't already know their lineage, you never discuss, and you don't. So I was raised with a very closed mouth. You would never call anybody half caste. You would never call anybody mixed unless you know. If you know that their parents were two different races, then you can say something like that. But if you did not know, even if you looked at the person and you could swear up and down, you didn't say that. So that was the stigma of hearing that always, even once I got to Fisk, people would ask questions about my lineage and I would just be offended. How you ask somebody? That ain't nothing that you, I had never grown up with people asking that question. So I would just be offended. I would get mad. I would, cuss people out, losing my mind. So I got to Nigeria and I was like, and even in Nigeria, y'all still saying this same mess? So I was talking to the woman, and as she was saying that, I could hear my ancestors in the back of my mind saying, "But you are though." So what is you really mad about? They were like, so which one of us are you ashamed of? They were like, because what she's saying is right. So which one of us are you saying that you would rather not be in your lineage? So I finished my conversation with her. I think it was a newspaper interview. Finished my conversation with her. Went back to my house, the house where I was staying, and actually thought about that. I was like, you have to make peace with all those different pieces. And that's for the first time when what Metahochi had been trying to teach me all those years finally clicked. You have to make peace with all those different pieces. Make peace with all those pieces. Not only that, you have to see the value of all those different pieces. You have to see how that made you what you are and all of the, wonderful advances that come from that. And you have to understand that you, as this kind of African, is just as valid as your Nigerian brothers and sisters, born right there in the heart of Yoruba land. They don't have, their African is not any more valid than ours. And that was what I realized at that time. In the throes of that, being sad and feeling offended. And when I went home and just meditated on it, it was like, this is not an extra validity to Africans. The experience of your ancestors is just as valid as the experience of their ancestors. So you have to take this seriously, and you have to hold these practices that our ancestors created here in the same level of esteem as we hold the practices that were created in Nigeria. Because there are innovations on both sides. Neither one of them is pure. When I read in the Odu, when Vascon translated this from Baba Saleko, when Saleko sat down and said all these Odu, this whole book worth of Odu, these little thin pages and this little bitty writing, when Baba Saleko sat down at the recorder and just sat in one day and just recorded all these Odu that he knew, and he said he was a junior priest. He said, "Oh, I do not know many." This ain't many. So when Baba Saleko sat down and put this down, when I read about offerings of liquor being made in here, it's palm wine, right? Imu. When I got to Nigeria, there was palm wine. We got palm wine right here in Nashville. But don't nobody make no offers of palm wine to the Orisha in Nigeria. They give them Siemens gin. It's a specific type of gin too. It's in a green bottle. It reminds you of Tanqueray. Okay. Because it's got that same look to it, that little red thing on it. So when I first saw it, I was like, Tanqueray? How did you get in Nigeria? It's just a black thing. We're attracted to the specific, But that's the gin that they give them. I'm like, why are they giving them this gin when you can get palm wine? Literally, I can walk right here to the store and get some palm wine. It's an innovation. It's an innovation.
Well, why did they choose to change?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But when you change things within the tradition, you generally are doing what is effective.
Yes.
So what I would have to think is that that's most effective for this time. For these times.
That rings true. Even with studying herbology now, there are a lot of ways that you can help heal yourself, particularly with herbs. Now, you can use, there's a lot of anti-inflammatory things going on. They say use turmeric, use this, use that. But when I went to Costa Rica, his name was Willie. He's a Rasta. But, I said he said, this is the way my grandma told me to do my whole life. This is what I do. Now, this is the reason why he tells us we're walking through this nature reserve. And he'll point out things, and the ecologist there, and he knows all the trees and all everything. He's pointing, and he's like, yes, he said that will work. But we use this. This is more effective.
There you go.
Tell you, we suggest this. Right. Because that might take 2 weeks. Exactly. This will work tomorrow. Exactly. And he was just like, this is what we use. He's like, that is good. This is what we use. This, right. This is what works. And I was like, you know what? That is so true. And just like even in regular the pharmacology, you got a whole lot of things that help with high blood pressure, but they always say, take this and then tell me how it feels. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because they monitor it after 2 weeks, come back, see what's going on. Well, maybe I'll put you on this, or this will be different, because your ecology within your body is different than somebody else. So something else might work better, but that and I have to realize it's the same way in the spirit world. Yes. That something might work for this person, legally split. Or you could do this too. You might not be as quick, but it's not like it won't work. And that's why I think, sometimes I wonder, why did this shade, why is she initiated into all these things? Why is she this and this and this and this? Why did you just stick one thing? And it's just like, well, throughout your journey, sometimes things call you, but this works, but this really works. But I didn't know it really worked until I dabbled in it. This works,
But it works so much better when I pair it with that.
When you pair it,
When I got that little
thing.
extra piece.
Man.
It works because in from
That's
the
so
Lucamere and Santeria tradition,
Mhm.
you never just get one Orisha.
Yeah.
You are never initiated into just one Orisha.
Yeah.
Wow.
You are initiated into an entire family of deities. You have that deity that you were initiated into,
Yeah.
but you receive
Uh-huh.
several other deities.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
you go to a Lucamere or a Santeria house, a person who is initiated, then when you look at their shrine, it's going to be that main shrine, and there will be other altars all around it. For the same reason that we wear all those ilekes.
Mhm.
And then when they do the initiations, they don't even just initiate you into one thing, right? In the West here, everything that you get an eshu to go with it, right? Nobody is doing that in Nigeria. That's not traditional. You don't need an issue for your this and an issue for your that. But in the West here, you get your issue because what we found here is Oshun is really effective. But when you throw that issue on Dara, woo, that's the lick right there. So we put them together and you get both of them. So the same thing, the same thing. And for me, I use palm. If I'm doing a naming ceremony, then if I can get palm wine, then I'm gonna have palm wine. Because to me, that is the time when I have to have that emu. That's the time when I have to have that vibration. For everything else, I'm going Seagram. Seagram's is the American semen. Right. Semen's gene is over there.
Yeah.
Not the term semen. But the American, So we all, you go to anything, that's what everybody gonna have, is that big old thing of Seagram's. Cow,
That's right on my
Go to anything in Nigeria, it's gonna be that Semen's gene. Cow, that's what's gonna be sitting here. Yes. Over here we use tobacco for the Orisha. You are not allowed to smoke around any Orisha shrine in Nigeria. That's Native American. I don't know tobacco grow in Nigeria.
Right.
But I would never dream of doing anything to Eshu and Ogun and not having that tobacco or my ancestors. I would never dream of doing. I would not expect it to work. As a matter of fact, I have put rituals off. If all this sick eye is much too short, I got to go buy a whole new pack to make this thing work out. But you wouldn't do that. You don't do that today in Nigeria. You don't do that. Right now, you still don't do that because that's you don't smoke in front of the Orisha. That is offensive.
Right.
So, but here, we smoking all day long. We might sit in a bed and just smoke, right? If you get possessed by a particular deity, you gonna smoke the whole thing. You gonna actually, literally smoke. You're not gonna even smoke and give it to the deity. You finna just sit there and smoke. But that's our innovation here for and that's what Manahochi would always say. He would say, what is happening over there is beautiful, and as scholars, it is incumbent upon us to understand the root and to understand what we come from. He said, but we know what we need to live and to survive and to do well over here. It's very difficult to get that cultural transference. It's very difficult. If you are initiated by someone who is from Nigeria, I'm not saying that it cannot be done. I'm not discouraging anyone from doing that. But it's very difficult to explain how life works over here. You how can you understand it if you didn't grow up in it? It's almost impossible to explain how life works over here. In Nigeria, even if we all lived in a village in Nigeria and Omaru got accepted to Morehouse, then without thinking about it, because we all live in that village, then we're going to pay for him to go to Morehouse. That's not a thought. We're not going to think about it. We're not going to say, well, I don't know, because the last time Nabaya did the song. None of that comes into play. He is from our village. We will send him to this school because we know that when we send him to this school, he will send money back to us. So that's not even a thought. And if there's somebody from our village over here, when he gets over here, he gonna go live with that person. He gonna do this, he gonna that, and you don't even, something else without thinking. It is as if you're from the same family. So in Nigeria, if somebody has to get initiated, the whole village is paying for it. So it's difficult to explain to a Nigerian who says this is going to cost $5,000. It's difficult to explain. Okay, it's going to take me this long to save up.
And they're like, who? Me? You?
I've heard that, I've heard like the model where they would do something like maybe not traditionally there, but some sisters that I know here, they said that they know of others who have done like a blessing way,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like how we would do it for a woman was pregnant and
Yeah.
getting ready to have a baby.
Yeah.
You would have a blessing way to prepare and make sure that she has everything that she needs for her
Yes.
baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so like same thing with someone that's getting ready to initiate, they would have
Yeah.
a blessing way, and like folks, it contribute either financially or if it's certain items that are needed.
Yes.
They come and bring that. They come and bring you some white
Yeah.
clothes or
Yes.
whatever.
Very
you
much
need.
so.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So that's and to me, the way that the system is set up, that's what's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a solitary system.
Right.
So it's supposed to be a community thing, because when a person is initiated, that person becomes an asset to the community.
Yeah.
So it should be a community thing. But the way our communities are set up here is so different.
That's why
It's so splintered.
I can easily see
But
how
yeah.
when somebody becomes initiated and they don't,
Not right now.
when they don't do those things for the community in a way that everybody can benefit, I can easily see how they could become isolated if they had to do it for themselves.
Watch out for the table, guys. Yeah.
If they had to do it by themselves to begin with, then why would I break my back for y'all when it didn't include you in the first place?
Exactly.
So I totally understand that.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times when we listen, or for me, I know when I first got into the tradition, all of the prices seemed so exorbitant, especially if I was talking to someone in Nigeria. How much? Oh Lord, that's half a year's salary. What is you talking about? But it's a different cultural mindset. So nobody's even considering for a brief moment.
But they're thinking about
this
them.
is one person.
Not just thinking about you. They're thinking about you're gonna bless me.
Yep.
Eventually.
That's it.
So I'm ready.
And that is exactly how it works. That's exactly how it works, which is beautiful. But yeah, it's not how we're doing things. This whole Western world, it's a thing, ain't it? Girl, when I talked to my sister, my adopted sister, I was only in Nigeria for a month. And Fasha, I think, was 3 when we went to Nigeria. So I was in the process of weaning her. So that was the first thing. She was like, I don't know how you left the baby, and the baby is still at breast. And I was like, well, she's technically not at breast. She's 3, blah, blah, blah. So we would talk about that every day. And then she would we would just talk about right. I think that you should send for her. I was like, well, I'm only gonna be here for a month. She is with her grandmother. She is fine. I just cannot believe. I was like, she doesn't nurse. Like, it wasn't like Fasha was literally still nursing. It was the nursing in the morning and the nursing to go to sleep. And she just was, that tore her mind up. But when I began to, because just the questions she would ask, I could see that she had absolutely no idea how life was here. So we were talking about something one morning, and she and I were going to go to the market. She would go to the market every day. All food was completely, totally fresh. So me and her were getting dressed to go to the market. She had a little bitty baby. And she handed me the baby or whatever. Babies don't really wear diapers. So you just got to be aware of when the baby's acting like it has to pee. So I don't know how to do that. Right. So she would laugh at me because the baby would pee. Why are you letting the baby pee? But I'm not in a culture that knows the cues of when a baby is about to pee, right? So we laugh about that kind of stuff. Yeah, the baby just pee. She would just laugh. You just let the baby, it was so hilarious to her. So we were getting ready to go to the market, and I would be like, oh, girl. I was like, girl, going to the grocery store is always such a thing. You got to take all the kids with you, blah, blah, blah. Why do you not leave them with your house girl? I was like, girl, I ain't got no house girl. How do you not have house girl? I was like, can nobody afford that? Regular people don't have house girls in America. Girl, she had to sit down. Like, she had to take a seat. She could not imagine navigating life without a house girl. And I agree with her. We shouldn't be out here trying to navigate. No. But she couldn't imagine that. Wow. She couldn't imagine just not being able to just do this and this. So when I, began to explain to her what it meant to be just regular working class in America, I thought she was gonna cry. I do not want you to go back. Oh, it is so terrible there. I was like, hey, it is. I just cannot believe. So you and your husband, you really have to work that hard. Yes.
And you
still
still
you
have enough money.
you don't have a house girl. You don't have a driver. You don't have a cook. All the hard work that you do. And you mean, I just think that you should send for the children and just stay here. You can stay here with us until you can get on your feet. She just could not. It was, when I told her the actual truth of it, yeah, it broke her heart. It broke her heart. And my father over there, my spiritual father, my adopted father, he was like, don't go back to America and get stressed. I don't know what she said to him. But in my final divination, he was like, do not go back to America and get stressed. Stop stressing. I was like, I don't know how not to stress. Right. Do not tell me that you do not. I'm telling you not to go back. So I came home. I was on for about 2 weeks. And of course, as y'all know, this is the land of stress. Girl, right. Daddy came to me in a dream. I was so scared. I was having a dream. And the next thing I knew, I was walking down the hall. And he was at the end of the hall in his full regalia. And I was like, this is exactly what I told you not to do. I said, well, if you can show me how not to do it, Bob, I swear I won't do it. But I don't know how to, navigate this. But I could not believe he came to me in the dream. I was like, for real? Why you doing me like this? Because I would have stayed in Nigeria. I was down for staying in Nigeria. But at that point in time, I was not a single unit. That's right. So my other partner wasn't down for that. I was like, I will stay. You can go back to the United States and get them children, and I'm good. Right. I'm good right here. Right. But he wasn't down with it. So I'm like, I would have stayed. I wasn't down. I wouldn't have gone back to America and got stressed. That was not my plan. Right. But I'm a double unit at this point, Mm-hmm. But yeah, the cultural is, so much is lost.
Right. And as you're talking, I realized that they knew all the energies and all the powers we would need to keep ourselves afloat. Because we're subjected to so many energies and powers and negative forces over here. And just like, it's like the magic came because we needed it. We needed quadruple seven. We need sevenfold. We need it. And we need it to work, even though some people are not even aware. But we need it.
Yeah. Oh. To me, there was no way for us to navigate this over here without everybody. Yeah. So we had to have the Vodun and the Nkisi and the Abosom. There's no way to navigate this over here with just the Orisha. It's not that lush paradise kind of environment. Even though life is hard wherever you go. So I don't want to make it seem like it's utopia. Right. But still. Like, you got to have everybody. You ain't gonna make it through this if you don't have everybody. So we have everybody. Even if we are only at this point awakened to and praising the Orisha within us, as Africans in the West, we have everybody. We have all of those lineages. So we have all of that, working within us. So. And you can't. I agree with you. There's no way to navigate this without it. There's no way for us to survive and thrive in the way that we do.
That's the word, thrive.
Yeah, when you look at,
some people will look at us and say, well, you're doing pretty good to not know XYZ. We'll just think about how much greater we can be if we continue to awaken and access the tools. It's like,
we bad now. We bad. You got to give it to us. We've been bad since we got over here. We've been bad. We some bad mamma jammas. But my mother would always say, it takes a superior person to be able to make it through the Middle Passage.
Agreed.
She said it takes a superior person to live through that walk from your village to the sea. She said, so that's a superior person. Yeah. So then they put you on the boat. It's 3 months on the boat, y'all. And you made it. So that's a superior person. You get to the Caribbean or wherever your seasoning island was. Right. You live through that. That's superior. And then you still make it through chattel slavery and reproduce. Yeah, my mother was always like, oh, yeah. She said, if you are ever looking for the master race, you should look in the mirror. Yeah. Because only a master race can make it through those types of things and still be a Harriet Tubman. Because it's not like we made it through and then became some sluckabouts.
Right.
We made it through and we still invented the cotton gin. We still were able to talk to plants.
Yes.
You know, if you look at Carter G. Woodson, we still invented the stoplight. We still, all these things. So it's not like we made it through and was just, no, we made it through and was still top of the line. Charles Drew, look at the stuff that we did, like during and flat straight out. 2 years out. And we just ripping it? Yeah. Because we got all of that.
And then the indigenous people over here who
Exactly
what they call this holiday coming up.
Yes.
Just the slaughtering.
Yeah. And still,
of course. Oh man, I just saw a post the other day about when it comes down to that land over the Dakota that they had doing the Dakota pipeline. They're still
it
trying to
burst.
Yes, they're trying.
So now they're cleaning up the oil spill.
The oil spill over there, and I was just
the First Nations people told them, if you do that, then it's going to ruin our land. And they did it anyway, and now it burst and their land is ruined.
They told.
First of all, that's not even where they're supposed to be. First of all, you moved them to the worst pieces of land on this continent. So there you took them from the most fertile, moved them to the worst. So they have become the caretakers of this. Not even really theirs, but okay. Over these hundreds of years, they say, okay, this is ours. And you ain't gonna even let them have this piece? How you figure? Put your legs down.
I know something else that happened.
What?
Throwing away plastic water.
That is true.
So you should recycle.
You have to recycle them. That's true, Noobsy. And that's something we can be responsible for, right? Well, all right. Good pick. Nah. Prodigal daughter.
Seriously, you didn't know this. That's not fair.
Hey, Mama Sister.
That's not fair.
Any more questions or comments? We're going to say toast. And we are done. That is our presentation for Eji Oko. So I will let you guys know online if we're going to move on next week or if we're going to stay with this particular Odu. Thank you for your time. Ecstasy above the